We continue now with part 7 of the JFK assassination, the shots in the Warren Commission's second thin thread, the headshot.
The records on Kennedy's head wound, the one that killed him, also seem to be inconsistent, both in terms of size and location. 6 of the Dallas doctors, including the neurosurgeon who pronounced Kennedy dead, said the cerebellum was visible through the hole in the skull. But according to the autopsy, the wound was not at the bottom and back of his head, where the cerebellum is located. In fact, in this drawing, we see only a small entry wound at this location. The drawing, based on an autopsy photo of the back of Kennedy's head, was made public by Congress and seems inconsistent with this drawing showing the size and location of what critics point out looks like a large exit wound. The drawing was approved by Dr. McClellan, one of the attending physicians in Dallas.
Based on the absence of any evidence coming from the Dallas end of the line that there were rear entries on the body, I conclude that President Kennedy was shot from the front.
There was, 3 or 4 real close together, and it was, must have been the first one that shot him, because that's when that was the time I took the picture, and during that time, after I took the picture, and the shots were still being fired, I decided I'd better get on the ground.
Here's another extreme close-up of that image done by Gary Mack and Jack White. That's their enhancement.
I was, no more than 15 foot from the car, and in line of fire, evidently.
At best, confusing. Dr. Robert McClellan saw the wounds firsthand at Parkland Hospital in Dallas.
The wounds are consistent, I think, not with the bullet having been fired from the 6th floor of the depository building from behind the president, but from somewhere around the grassy knoll or the triple underpass, somewhere in the front. Seeing that Zapruder film and noting the way the president was thrown backward violently to the left, and having seen that wound, I thought to myself, there's no way that could have come from the 6th floor behind him.
And what of the president's other?
They claim that there was a small little wound here in the back of the head. Well, let's go on.
There was, 3 or 4.
I had been panning shots through here so that I could get whatever was going to come down the street. And I saw that it was the President of the United States. And as I was...
Now, Gordon Arnold, here's his story here. He claimed he was on leave, and he went to the parade to watch the president. He claims he was standing on the sidewalk between the fence and the wall, the grassy wall, with his camera filming the motorcade. He heard gunshots, reports, and he hit the dirt. Now also on the Jack White, Gary Mack close-ups of the Mormon photo. This is what they claim is Arnold here to back up his story.
Panning down this direction, just as I got to about this position, a shot come right past my left ear. And that meant it would have had to have come from this direction.
At that time, I turned to Gail and said,
That's it, hit the ground.
And now, I've also found an image on some of the photos of the Assassination. Also, Senator Yarborough was driving with Vice President Johnson in the motorcade, and as their car, there were two cars back, as they my eye was tracked to the right, and I saw the man jump about 10 feet like an old-time tackle in football, land against the wall. He also thought he smelled gunpowder near the grassy knoll and yelled, "My God, they've shot the president." And and Arnold says he hit the dirt. Now here's a close-up I've found. Between the fence, the side steps is her hair. And this is the image I found, and it looks to me like Gordon Arnold hit the dust. Hit the dirt. And if what he says is true, and that's him there, or the other image. That alone would prove conspiracy. Well.
And we turned and hit the ground and covered our children. But when the third shot was fired, I thought it came from directly behind towards the grassy knoll behind me. I based that primarily on the third shot from what I saw of the side of the president's head coming off, and from the sound of the rifle, the report of the rifle.
I will always believe that the man that shot President Kennedy was standing somewhere in the picket fence area, and no one will ever convince me any differently.
It doesn't make sense to be hit from the rear and still have your face intact.
Well, I am very dead certain at least one shot, including the one that took the president's skull off, had to come from the right front. And I'll stand by that to my death, over my mother's grave.
I viewed the autopsy pictures. They had the frontal part of the cerebrum here and the skull out.
So when the picture was taken, you think they pulled the skin back up over this wound?
That's the only thing I can postulate, because the back of his head was gone. This was a huge hole. It was on the right. It was 9 to 10 centimeters across, and you could look right into the brain.
Crenshaw.
Large hole is at the front of the head. See something else. This is just almost a personal question. Are you pretty comfortable today with the notion that someone was firing at President Kennedy somewhere from the front?
Yes.
Are you equally comfortable, or are you not comfortable with the notion that there is forgery of some sort in the official documents of this?
I feel there probably is. I certainly could not be, held down to saying exactly how that is, or even approximately how it is, perhaps. But I feel that there has been some kind of attempt to cover up what was going on.
What the witness saw.
Was there corroboration for a shot from the front? Dallas clothing manufacturer Abraham Zapruder filmed the motorcade as it drove down Elm Street.
It was about halfway down there, I heard a shot. And he slumped to the side like this. Then I heard another shot or two. I couldn't say what it was, one or two. And I saw his head practically open up, all blood and everything, and I kept on shooting.
2 days after the assassination, Life magazine bought the infamous Zapruder film. Its moving images were not shown to the American public for 12 years.
The most obvious thing you extract from the film is that the head moves backward, and that suggests a shot from the right front.
It is unknown exactly what the film suggested to the members of the Warren Commission, since their report failed to even mention Kennedy's violent reaction to the headshot.
That's right, folks. The Warren Commission never even mentioned the headshot. Think about that. It was the Zapruder film that caused the second major investigation because of the Zapruder film. Because of that headshot. And the Warren Commission never even commented on it. Just pathetic. And Abraham Zapruder, that's what he told the Warren Commission. He saw the president hit on the right side of the head. He thought perhaps the shots came from behind you. Well, yes. So, that was his testimony to the Warren Commission. There was one little problem, though. He had a camera in front of his eyes. Let's continue.
Let me show you, to my best recollection, what the wound looked like to me that day in Trauma Room 1.
Before each doctor looked at the photos, he described the wounds he had seen back in 1963.
I could see the president's head wound quite well, and I was probably looking into a wound that was on the lateral or the side part of the head and the back part of the head.
It would be this portion of the head right here.
As I remember, it's like this, that there was a big wound, big deficit in his skull and the temporal parietal area.
Now, here's what the Warren Commission in their autopsy, they claim the autopsy showed. A small little wound in the back of the head. Yet on the Mormon photo, as we go in, take a closer look, I did many years ago. Something very unusual you see here. Here's somebody else that has examined this.
Inconsistencies within, and the pristine Mary Mormon photograph allowed me to go in and actually measure the wound optically without image processing. As we go into the wound and as we expand the wound and magnify it, you can see that the pixel elements, or each one of these little dots, is represented by dark squares or light squares. Now, if there were no wound in the rear of President Kennedy's head, all of the squares would be the basic reflective value or the basic shade of gray that his normal hair coloring would be on this day. Every time, in my years of experience with this, when there is a concave or convex area that is a deformation of the overall image, there is absolutely no question that the case is, as it goes darker under this situation, that this is going from an area on the top of President Kennedy's head down into an extremely deep hole, because the entrance wound that supported this exit wound was fired from the right frontal area of President Kennedy, and it exited through the rear. Instead of trying to find shooters or gunmen in the photograph.
Well, I have tried to find shooters in the photographs, and I found a few other things too. Now, before these images were made, were found, the Warren Commission defenders had some little hope, some case to keep fending off reality and truth. But even with this truth before their very eyes, they're still trying to deny this fact. Now, is this the only image I've got of the back of the president's head? No. I also looked somewhere else, thanks to Robert Grodin's enhancements of the Zapruder film. They were zoomed in some. I've zoomed in either further, and this is what I see. So we have two independent photos here, the Mormon photo and the Zapruder film, which both show this large wound in the back of the president's head. This is not words. This is hard evidence, hard photographic evidence of an exit wound in the back of the president's head. How they can deny that? They could deny anything.
Large hole is at the front of the head. See something else. This is just almost a personal a question. Are you pretty comfortable today with the notion that someone was firing at President Kennedy somewhere from the front?
Yes.
Are you equally comfortable, or are you not comfortable with the notion that there is forgery of some sort in the official documents of this?
I feel there probably is. I certainly could not be, held down to saying exactly how that is, or even approximately how it is, perhaps. But I feel that there has been some kind of attempt to cover up what was going on.
Now, this was the second image I discovered that really was rather shocking. There's another image I've got to show you. That's a little shocking, too.
The exact moment the fatal bullet struck the president in the head.
In this area, right
Some believe that one of these shadows may be an assassin standing behind the fence.
Seem like much right now, but
Lee Bowers, a railroad.
One more time.
Bullet struck the president in the head. Some believe that one of these shadows may be an assassin standing behind.
What is it? Well, so what is this image again?
The exact moment the fatal bullet struck the president in the head.
Right here.
Some believe that one of these shadows may be an assassin standing behind the fence. Lee Bowers, a railroad employee who was working. Fatal bullet struck the president in the head. Some believe that one of these shadows may be an assassin standing behind the fence.
So now it didn't look like much.
Some believe that one of these shadows may be an assassin standing behind the fence.
As you can see, I was taking extreme close-ups of that many years ago.
One of these shadows.
This blob right here that doesn't appear to be like much. Just well, anyhow, I was taking a lot closer look here. Let's see if you see what I saw. I was beginning to see a face here, What really caught my eye was this upside down stripe here. I couldn't figure out what that could have been. So I was looking a little closer. So that's a little closer up of that image right here. As you can see, this is on the this is picked up on television as they zoomed in on the Mormon photo. This was in a book, double page enlargement. So you get the gist of it. I was looking there, and let's take a Here's some of the images I've extracted from that. How about a colorized version? One face there, one face here. How about a little larger view? And by the way, well, I gotta do it this way. I got all kinds of images here. Yes, there it is. Here's an independent close-up somebody did. I don't even know who it was, but this was a digitally enhanced version of the Mormon photo. They never even noticed this. I made a enlargement and I put it up here in the front. They were looking back here, back along here. And that may not, I know it's hard to see. I didn't see it for several minutes. And once I started putting the pieces together, once the brain starts putting the pieces together, like I say, all I was looking at was this upside down V. Let's see, there should be something. Yes, that upside down V. And then I noticed there were a few others. There was this, what appears to be a circle here, just above that. And then I started putting the pieces together. You can start seeing the faces. Once you start seeing the faces, understand this is the left arm. That's the History Channel, that's the close-up. Again, I'm losing my... Where is the color? There's the colorized. So there's definitely something very unusual there, to say the least. And when you put it all together, I can find that one again. Well, anyways, here's an even more extreme close-up. Let me see if I move that in a little. Now, this is very curious that at that distance, I mean, it's picking up this, and it does look like some writing much similar to this. That's a very long distance. But anyways, I can't get this to work. So anyhow, it's very curious that, if I can find that one. Where is it? It's very curious that you'd have two images like that found in this one photograph. And not only that, but an image like that also. anyone who thinks of the lights and shadows, there's always a possibility of lights and shadows, but those are the damnedest lights and shadows I've ever seen. And as far as I'm concerned, this makes more sense than anything.